Good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the urban translator. I'm also the host of the Bradley Report, and I'm the president of United Peace, Inc. We got a very interesting show. As the world knows by now that there's an election on April the 4th in Chicago, and that happens to be also the date that Martin Luther King got assassinated, got murdered. Call it what you want. They killed a man of peace. This election is between a racist candidate that happened to be endorsed by the racist Fraternal Order of Police and his leadership for a Trump influenced candidate, which is Paul Vallas. And as you know, the president of the Fraternal Order Police and the Fraternal Order Police in Chicago, they are DeSantis inspired and also supporters of the January 6th insurrection in Washington, D.C. Okay? And everybody know that they racist. So you got candidate by the name of Brandon Johnson. They say he's a CTU, Chicago Teachers Union candidate, and Paul Vallas is the candidate for Fraternal Order Police, okay? Everybody know here in Chicago, everybody, be they elected officials, religious leaders, or individuals that call themselves community activists that made a decision to back Paul Vallas over Jonathan Jackson is on my mind. To God be the glory. I got to call you after this show. But Brandon Johnson, okay, who's a community organizer, former teacher, a PK, preacher's kid. But he's an organizer. He's a progressive leader. He's a Cook County commissioner. Paul Vallas's record, on the other hand, he's been chased out of Chicago State University by some of the same black elected officials that now say Paul Vallas is a great guy. I had to remind them after I saw the story in the media with Sawyer and others, and it may have also been former Illinois State President Emil Jones, that said that the man was not qualified to be over Chicago State University, and they wanted him out of there. They got him fired. I believe they got him fired. They got him kicked out of there, unanimous decision of the board. And he tried to become the president, I believe he did, of the Chicago State University. But Reverend Hatch was the president at the time. So there's a lot of history. I don't know why the African Americans trying to blackwash Paul Vallas like he's all this. The one thing that gets me about the Democratic leadership or elected officials, you got a right to who you want to go for. Everybody got a right to pick who they want to pick. Just like I have a right to be with whom I want to be. Okay? I chose Brandon. Everybody know that I was with Madam Mayor. She's still the mayor. And she did wonderful things for the city of Chicago. I'm talking about Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Historically, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, first African-American woman to become the mayor of the city of Chicago. The fact of the matter is this. Paul Vallas says out his mouth that he's a Republican. Paul Vallas has been caught on the conservative, alt-right radio stations criticizing J.B. Pritzker, Senator Dick Durbin, Duckworth, the governor, and the Fraternal Police own him. Why are they saying that the Chicago Teachers Union owns Brandon Johnson. The Fraternal Order of Police, we're going to talk about that. Presidency, from the first time they've been a president, their mission statement, okay, and from their actions is about covering up police misconduct, be it brutality, be it murder, be it torture. That's why you're seeing a lot of these African American and Hispanic men coming back from being tortured after being locked up for 20 to 30 years because they was tortured by John Burge now. Fraternal Order of Police members. And Paul Vallis talking about bringing that back. We don't need that. City of Chicago don't need that. And one thing that was brought to my attention, Brandon Johnson ain't about defunding the police department. He's about defining what the police department is supposed to be about for all of us. It takes all of us to be about this public safety, not just the police. Okay? You got individuals that's marching with Paul Vallis. I know some of them. I know them very well. All of them saying they about public safety, but I don't hear them saying they're going at the individual that's killing these women and children. I can speak on that because my track record shows where I've worked with Holmes and others, like the twins in Cabrini Green, like Walter Burnett in Cabrini Green, okay? All right? To help turn in individuals that kill babies or make it where they have to turn themselves in. I work with Pastor Corey Brooks and others. And I ain't no vigilante. I'm a part of the narrative when they say all hands on deck to help eradicate individuals that feel like they can not be responsible or accountable when they shoot that gun. We're going to talk about things like that. We're going to talk about the tricks of the sport that's known as politics. We're going to talk about how Paul Vallis and his campaign, their name is on it, got a mailing going out. I got it in my mailbox. Going out saying, giving the impression as if Mayor Lori Lightfoot got a picture of Lori Lightfoot and Willie Wilson on a flyer or a mailing telling people to vote for Paul Vallis as if the mayor has endorsed Paul Vallis. We're going to talk about that, okay? We're going to talk about, once she found out about it, she immediately put out a statement. We're going to talk about it because I'm going to show you. It's about show and tell. So without further ado, let me say this. This show was put together by none other than the director of the Bradley Report and the producer of the Bradley Report. None other than the chairman of United Peace, Inc., and that's my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. And the technical wherewithal is by the aid and assistance of Brother Omari. So to God be the glory. Brother Omari, let's get on with this story.
Chicago, this is Common. This election is too important for any of us to stay on the sidelines. That's why I'm announcing my endorsement of Brandon Johnson for mayor. We need a leader who loves our city and is truly for the people, all families from all backgrounds in all neighborhoods. He shows the heart and the vision to bring change that our city needs. And let's build a better, stronger, and safer Chicago. So join me in voting for Brandon Johnson for mayor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. I won't be before you very long. because clearly
Everything was said.
Reverend Al Sharpton,
Said,
he made it plain, didn't he?
yeah, he did.
Now I just need him to leave that suit behind so I can wear that on election day. God bless you. Thank you all for being here today. I am so deeply humbled and very much honored to be a part of a long tradition
Yes, sir.
of those who have came before us. I'm so glad we serve a God that is at the beginning and the end. As Reverend Al Sharpton said, I'm so glad that we serve a God that don't drop us off.
Yes, sir.
When I announced my candidacy in October, I was polling at 2.8%. But yet here I be.
To God be the glory.
Because we know what the ending is going to be. The city of Chicago is prepared and ready to be an example for the rest of the world. But we didn't just get here, y'all. We've been fighting. And now we're in a moment where the weak can finally say that we are strong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that a better, stronger, safer Chicago is possible. And that our hopes and dreams get to be as big as the city of Chicago. Now, of course, there are forces that are trying to separate us and divide us.
You better listen.
We know what wickedness looks like.
Yeah, we do.
And there are people that would rather use lies than the truth.
Come on now.
But we come from a faith tradition that truth is liberating. It's going to set us free, y'all.
Yeah.
We get to tell the truth about the conditions of our communities.
Yeah.
And whether they want to hear the truth or not. As our brother Gator Bradley would say, we're going to tell it.
Yeah, we're going to tell them. You better
They're going
listen.
to listen, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to listen.
And so the truth of the matter is that our communities have been disinvested in for too long. And that we have great people and leaders like Reverend Hatch, Reverend Ackley, and Cy Fields, and David Cherry. And these brothers have been on the front line telling the truth and building for this moment. And the truth of the matter is, when we have schools that are closed, and mental health centers are closed, when we can't afford to live in the very community in which we're raising our families in, when we do not have access to public transportation, and our movement, the civil rights movement, was on a bus. When we talk about good paying jobs, and the fact that we have unemployment in our communities that reflect the Great Depression era, we get to tell the truth. And so now the very people who caused the mess, they want to be back in charge of the mess that they created.
No, sir. That's going backwards. No.
You don't get to run what you ran in the ground again,
Right.
and then take that destructive terror all over the country, and then when we finally kicked you out of Chicago State, you want to
You better listen.
No, not under our watch. And so as we tell the truth, that when we talk about policing in the city of Chicago, you can't forget Quantonio LeGrier.
You better listen. And Laquan
The
McDonald.
only equipment on the scene were guns. And these families are dead. So when we talk about mental health services and treatment, not trauma, we're trying to save lives.
Yes, my name is Wallace Gaylor Bradley, and I'm known as the urban translator and a political consultant. I'm also the host of the Bradley Report. There's going to be a lot of changes in city government come May the 1st. But it starts with you making the right decision to elect the right mayor. And what I mean by that, you need to ask both of the mayoral candidates, would they rehire former police officer who is now the president of the Fraternal Order of Police to the Chicago Police Department. And that's very important and very key, because if Paul Vallas become mayor, he definitely going to rehire that bad officer that retired so that he couldn't be fired because of his police misconduct, as well as his racist attitude and the fact that he's a Trump influence and a DeSantis lover, to become a part of the Chicago police. We in the city of Chicago see him as being a John Burge on steroids. The reason I'm saying this is because when I see so many activists that was mad and upset because of the killing of Laquan McDonald and the fact that the Fraternal Order of Police, especially the guy that's the president of Fraternal Order of Police, was in support of Van Dyke, the individual that murdered Laquan McDonald. And when I hear that Jamal Green, one of the greatest activists that was out there seeking justice because Laquan McDonald was killed, turn over the police when they tried to come at Kim Foxx. And when you see that the both of them are now in league to help elect Paul Vallas, I'm telling everybody, please come out and vote and don't choke. Peace. This is Wallace Gator Bradley from the Bradley Report.
Yeah, video was released last year by San Antonio police. In that statement, Paul Vallas's campaign defended his son's involvement in the deadly police-involved shooting. This is video released by San Antonio police after 3 officers shot and killed Kevin Donnell Johnson Jr. One of those officers was Gus Vallas, the son of Chicago mayoral candidate and former CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Paul Vallas. The story was first reported by The Tribe, a black-owned digital publication. In the police body-worn camera video, the 28-year-old can be seen riding a bicycle and then running from police.
The officers identified themselves as police, pursued Johnson into the embankment.
Police said the officers had been searching for Johnson, who was on parole for assaulting a peace officer and wanted on several warrants. The officers can be seen chasing the man into a creek. Police then spot a gun before opening fire.
Officers spotted a gun in his right hand as he exited the shallow water.
Drop your hands! Drop it! Gun, gun, gun!
Johnson's family members told KSAT News he was shot 9 times. Gus Vallas, along with the other 2 officers, were placed on administrative duty during the investigation. Paul Vallas's campaign issued a statement saying, quote, "This matter was the subject of a complete investigation. Gus Vallas was found not to have engaged in any violation of policy or procedure and has since returned to full duty." Vallas has received several endorsements for mayor, including the Fraternal Order of Police. Dean Unruh.
Thank you, Shannon.
What do we know about the real Paul Vallas? The Paul Vallas who wrecked Chicago's schools' finances, leaving us with billions in higher property taxes? The one who was just caught spreading racist and homophobic tweets? Or the Vallas who admits that he's really a Republican?
I'm more of a Republican than Democrat now.
Shady Paul Vallas. Wrong for Chicago. For mayor, the choice is clear. Brandon is better.
The president of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police, now urging members to vote early in the mayor's race. Here's WBBM's Mike Krauser.
11 days to save the city.
FOP President John Catanzara, in a video message, he said there has never been an opportunity like this for police officers. The decision, he said, is clear. He did not have kind words for Brandon Johnson.
He is a nightmare not only to this membership, but to the safety of every single person who lives in the city of Chicago. And I hope not only the police that see this video, but the average citizen wakes up and realizes the possible damage that could be done if they do not vote or they vote for Brandon Johnson.
Catanzara urged people to vote early. Mike Krauser, 105.9 WBBM.
Well, Chicago police investigating a hit and run in Fulton Market. It happened around 1 o'clock this morning on Washington Street. Investigators are looking for a black Mercedes they say struck a 26-year-old man. He was taken to Stroger Hospital where he later died. No one is in custody.
You know, the thing that's perplexing to me is Paul Vallas was real quiet when Laquan McDonald got murdered by members of the Fraternal Order Police. And one of the things that was wild and very important is the Fraternal Order Police, its president and its leadership, was in full support of Van Dyke, who was the individual that killed Laquan McDonald. That's why I find it so perplexing that black elected officials and community activists and businessmen and spiritual leaders supporting Paul Vallas when they know he ain't that guy they trying to clean up. That's why I say blackwashing. It's tantamount to brainwashing the African-American community. Like this guy is so about blackness and fairness. Fraternal police control him. Lori Lightfoot, while she was on vacation, heard an interview by Franz Spellman where the guy that was the negotiator for the city in reference to coming to an agreement with a contract with Fraternal Order Police. And they got a contract with Fraternal Order Police on February 27th. Unbeknownst to the mayor, the negotiator had already cut what I would call a closet deal with Fraternal Order Police. That's why Paul Vallas kept saying he volunteered to help settle to get a union contract with Fraternal Order Police, and he wasn't charging them nothing because he knew the fix was in. Then they come to find out, because of the interview that the guy gave, Franz Spellman, that deal was made so that Paul Vallas can push himself up, so to speak. Hey, I've come in and I've got the Fraternal Order Police, this contract, the greatest thing could have been done, ain't never been done in 3 years or whatever it is. But he did that to give Paul Vallas an up. And not only that, he even donated money to Paul Vallas. So when the mayor found out while she was on a vacation, and she needed a vacation, she had to remind him that she's still the mayor of the city of Chicago. So she fired him. Bam! Get out of here. Don't even come back, get your pen and none of that. Because he wasn't concerned about the betterment or for the betterment of Chicago. They tried to take the city back to where it used to be. corruption, cover-ups. So she got rid of them. So the Sun-Times editorial did a little editorial on it and said it was petty of the mayor for firing the guy. And I had a right to write the paper. I wrote a little paragraph and said the mayor didn't do no wrong. She didn't do no more than what other mayors would have done had that guy did, or because of what he did to Lori, had he did it to them. Then when Paul Vallas and them come up and play the little political tricks with the flyers and the mailers going to registered voters, giving the impression as if the mayor had endorsed them, when the mayor hasn't made any endorsement. But I believe that once the people read in the paper, heard the news that the mayor got rid of that guy because of what he was doing for Paul Vallas, it made her people. I was already with Brandon. I voted early. It made her people decide, hey, the tricks that they played, they're not with them. So they went to the polls. Brandon's numbers went up. I want to play this last thing for you because I got to get out of here. Brother Omari, hit that last piece for me.
Tanya and Terrell, as you mentioned, LaSalle Street is a vital economic corridor, but it has suffered in recent years. This morning, the mayor unveiling her plan to revitalize it with some city subsidies. The reawakening of LaSalle Street post-pandemic is taking a big step forward. In her last few weeks in office, the mayor announcing 3 finalists have been chosen to create more than 1,000 mixed-income units in the Loop corridor to address downtown vacancies and affordable housing.
We will be the envy of the nation, and people will once again come to Chicago, as they have throughout these last 4 years, and say, how did you do that?
The 3 buildings chosen for conversion include 111 West Monroe Street. It would be converted to housing with a hotel on lower floors. 208 South LaSalle would build 280 units with a dog run, fitness center, and tenant lounge, and 135 South LaSalle would turn some office floors into 430 residences.
Providing those housing opportunities will be key in our mission to reimagine LaSalle Street as a mixed-income, mixed-use community, as well as our mission to restore equity downtown.
Representing nearly 320 affordable units and more than $550 million in total investments, the finalists were selected from 9 developer responses to the city's invitation for proposals to repurpose a portion of LaSalle Street's 5 million square feet of vacant commercial space as mixed-income housing.
Chicago is the only city in the country that has fashioned this conversion effort in such an equitable and innovative way. So I'm thrilled that we're leading.
The 318 affordable housing units would be offered to tenants earning an average of 60% of the area median income, or a little over $50,000 for a 2-person household.
That's 318 households that could not otherwise walk to work in the Loop, 318 heads of household who could say yes to a job offer, who might otherwise have said no because the commute seemed impossible.
The city planning to contribute millions of dollars in tax increment financing as potential subsidies, but the plans still need to be approved by the full city council.
You know, Mayor, and my viewing audience, I would say, Mayor, you're going out like the star that you are. You stand focused on what you're doing, and you're letting them know that you will be the mayor till May the 1st. I want to say to God be the glory. That's my story.